Some more bad news for the Sixers coming off of last night's loss to the Toronto Raptors. This latest injury update on Kelly Oubre Jr., not what Sixers fans want to hear. Philadelphia falling to 8-6 after that 121-112 loss to Toronto, and those third quarter struggles continue to plague this Sixers team, and a new issue has started to emerge as well. Let's get started, though, on the Kelly Oubre Jr. injury front. Oubre will be out at least the next 2 weeks as he deals with an LCL sprain in his left knee. Obviously, this is not what Sixers fans want to hear after he did suffer that injury a little bit ago against the Detroit Pistons. Hyperextended his left knee, did Oubre, in the second quarter versus Detroit on November 14th. So just about 6 days ago as of this recording. Talked with some doctors, determined the next steps, had an MRI that revealed a sprain to his LCL. So the Sixers announced that he will be reevaluated in 2 weeks. And that is the key word here. Oubre will be reevaluated in 2 weeks. That doesn't necessarily mean he will return in 2 weeks. And these LCL injuries, the recovery timeline can really vary depending on the severity of the strain. If it's, not quite as bad, and really best case scenario, he could be back in 2 weeks. But if it's a bad strain, he could be out for a month, possibly more. So we won't really know until the Sixers give us an update here in about 14 days. Obviously, this is not what Sixers fans want to hear, and this sucks for Philadelphia and for Oubre himself, who was enjoying a career year up to this point all across the board, offensively, defensively. He was playing a lot of minutes and really able to make his impact felt in these games for the Sixers. He was shooting the ball well. He was playing aggressive, but not out of control and not out of himself, which I felt like he could do and has done at times over the past couple of seasons. Really liked what he had been doing, averaging nearly 17 points, 5 rebounds a night, playing solid defense, grabbing over a steal a game, and shooting the ball efficiently. Now that three-point number has come down a little bit. He was shooting close to 40% from three early in the year. Started to tail off just a bit, but if he can stay in that 35-ish range, I think he can do wonders for this 76ers team. And, he's been really good offensively. One of the best years of his career from an efficiency standpoint, from a decision-making standpoint as well. Thought he's been a lot better, but where the Sixers are really going to feel the impact of losing Kelly Oubre will be on the defensive side of the ball, and I think we saw that against Toronto on Wednesday night, where they didn't have any wings to cover the likes of Brandon Ingram or Scotty Barnes. He has been the Sixers' best perimeter defender up to this point, and so Philadelphia now going to have to find a way to replace that in a league full of talented wings when the Sixers, even with Oubre, weren't a very good defensive team. They still struggled across the board. Oubre was just one of those bright spots. So now, how do you remedy that if he is out even longer than the 2 weeks? Well, you're going to need Paul George to get acclimated pretty quickly here, right? Obviously game 1 on Monday against the Clippers wasn't great, but I saw some good signs out of him. He's, coming off this injury, hasn't played before Monday in 200-plus days, coming off the knee surgery. So you're going to need him now to play an even larger role than you probably were hoping for. You're probably hoping you could ease Paul George back into things, right? Still, play decent minutes, but not have to take on that big of an offensive responsibility. Still work back into things defensively. Now, his burdens on both sides of the ball is going to be increased. So Paul George, if the Sixers want to win games and, not see their season, I won't say tank because they are still over 500 here at 8-6, but you don't want to start dropping some of these games. You're going to need Paul George to get it going sooner rather than later at his age, given the injury history. I don't know how confident you can be that that will happen. Elsewhere on the Sixers injury news, and this is why this injury sucks even more, because Embiid is still out. This is heading into Thursday night's game against the Milwaukee Bucks in this back-to-back. I'm shocked Embiid's not playing in this one. Adem Bona is out still with an ankle injury. He'll be out a couple of weeks. Maxey was added to the injury report last second, probable with a quad. He seems to be okay. Although you do worry with some of the wear and tear with how many minutes Maxey has played, if injuries like this could start popping up as the season does go along. And so, losing Oubre at a time like this really does stink. Now, on this injury report, I mentioned Joel Embiid. I'm shocked he's not playing in this game. Embiid complained about the knee soreness back a couple of weeks ago and, had some time off now. And the way they were talking, like Embiid's been practicing in full over the last few days. Thought there was a chance he played last night. I really thought Philadelphia sat him against the Raptors so he could play tonight against the Bucks since it was a back-to-back and he could play with Paul George. But he's not playing. I guess I shouldn't really be shocked when it comes to Embiid not playing games. Obviously, this team playing things very, very safe and very cautiously with his injuries. But this is the other knee. This isn't even the knee he's been rehabbing all off season long. And so the fact he's not back yet, I am a little bit surprised. Now, there is some good on the injury front here for the Sixers. Not everything on today's show is all negative. McCain is good to go here. Up to this point, Jared had not been playing in back-to-back nights. McCain played a little bit last night, scored his first points of the season. Shout out to McCain, hitting a mid-range shot, hitting a three-point shot above the key. He is good to go for tonight, so clear to play back-to-backs, which is big for him and for his recovery. It was awesome to see him score last night and how excited he was when he finally got that first bucket of the season to go in. But sort of putting a bow on all this and bringing this back to the Kelly Oubre scenario, and obviously Paul George got to step up. Sixers got to find a way to play better defensively. Way too many defensive lapses against the Raptors last night, who would just kind of pass it around the perimeter until they found a matchup they liked, attack the basket. Sixers rotations were not good, and somebody would get wide open underneath the bucket. I feel like I saw Jakob Poeltl score 30 million layups last night after a pass from Scotty Barnes or Brandon Ingram on the penetration, right? And so you need guys that can stay in front of other players. Sixers right now, down Oubre with Paul George still coming along, don't really have a lot of that. Can VJ Edgecombe start to become the defender that we think he can be sooner rather than later? We'll see. Does suck to have Oubre out at this point in time, and of course wishing him the best and wishing him a speedy recovery. Now, before we talk a little bit more about this Raptors game and this third quarter issue that's just been plaguing Philadelphia all season long, real quick, want to remind you guys, we are in a current sub-battle this month between us here at 76ers Now and my guy Tyler Smith over at Celtics Today here at Chat Sports. Sitting here on November 20th, so not much time left in the month of November. Crazy, we're already about to be done the year of 2025, but we are down about 40 subscribers in our November sub battle. I know Sixers fans can show up and show out. Hit that sub button. Help us catch up. Help us win this sub battle, and you're a winner at the end of the day because you get Sixers coverage almost every single day, all year round. It is 100% free. I try to make it insightful, informative, entertaining from a Sixers fan for fellow Sixers fans. So if that all sounds good to you, go ahead, hit that sub button. And real quick, I want to remind you guys that the Sixers throwback jerseys are available now through our friends at Fanatics. I told you when the Sixers jerseys, the throwbacks came out, I would let you know. I'm letting you know right now. Chatsports.com/76jerseys. I already got myself a maxi one. If you tune into our watch parties, you would see I'm rocking that every single night. Of course, different players, different sizes are available. Finally released the throwback design this year, and it looks so clean, especially when they wear it on the floor. So get yourself geared up. Perfect time now with the holidays coming up to get yourself a gift, get a loved one a gift. The Sixers City Edition jerseys are also available as well. The new edition that they'll be wearing this season, they have not worn them yet, but you can get your hands on the new City Edition jerseys, which I think also look pretty clean as well. Again, chatsports.com/76jerseys is the link. I'll put that in the comment section and description of today's show. But, jerseys are selling fast, so go ahead and get yourself one before they do sell out. All right, let's get to this worrisome trend and some more bad news and bad signs for the Sixers team. Philadelphia had another atrocious third quarter against the Raptors last night. It was so frustrating to watch. And again, those of you who were with me on the watch party last night and those of you who watched the game know, watching the Sixers team, who had a 3-point lead at halftime, see the lead just disappear and countless frustrating plays from the Sixers squad in that third quarter. And it's been a problem all season long. And it's just so difficult for me to wrap my head around how they can just allow this to continue and just see leads disappear in the third quarter after they do a good job in the first half. And last night, they did a good job in the end of the second quarter to get that lead back from the Raptors. But in that third quarter, the Raptors outscored the Sixers 44-26. Are you kidding me? And it's been like that, again, all year long. When you look at the numbers, which we'll look at here in just a second, the Sixers have been one of the worst teams in the NBA in the third quarter since game one. I mean, just take a look at these numbers in the third quarter here. And again, when you look at these, remember, there are 30 teams in the NBA. Sixers, 29th in points per game in the third quarter, 29th in field goal percentage, 27th in three-point percentage, 28th in turnovers, another problem that has started to rear its ugly head, especially in that game last night for the Sixers, and they are dead last in plus-minus in the third quarter, getting outscored by almost 8 points per game in that third quarter. And some of these third quarters they've had this year in games where they have been able to still win some of these, right? Because they've been such a good fourth quarter team, which we will get to. But opening night against Boston, outscored 35-18 in the fourth quarter. Against the Hornets a few nights later, outscored 38-25 in the third quarter. Somehow able to win both of those games. Against the Wizards, outscored 32-16. Also somehow able to come out and win that game in overtime. But then you see games like this, right against the Cavs, outscored by 17 in the third. They lost that game. Against the Pistons on November 9th, outscored 34-21, lost that game late down the stretch. That was the first of two games against Detroit. You just simply cannot play this way in the third quarter and expect to be able to win ball games, even with how good the Sixers have been in the fourth quarter. And to me, that's the most frustrating part of all of this, right, is that the Sixers are showing this fight this year. They're showing an ability to claw and scratch their way back into games and play so good in clutch moments down the stretch. But you can't just rely on playing good in clutch moments down the stretch, having to fight your way back like this in every single game in the fourth quarter this year. It's a complete flip of the script, I should say. Third in points per game, seventh in field goal percentage, second in three-point percentage, fourth best in turnovers, meaning they don't turn the ball over a lot in the fourth quarter, and they are first in the NBA in plus-minus in the fourth quarter at nearly +6. So they are the best fourth quarter team in the NBA in terms of point differential. They are the worst third quarter team in the NBA in terms of point differential. That just dynamic there, it just doesn't make any sense to me, and they have to find a way to figure this out. And this really simply just can't continue if the Sixers want to be taken seriously at all this season. I don't care how good you are in the fourth quarter. If you are constantly putting yourself in a position where you have to come back every single night, it's going to do a lot of things, right? Obviously, it's tough to win these games when you are having to come back late in the fourth quarter. You're just naturally not going to be able to do it every single time, even if you are the best at it. But look, your players are going to get tired having to put in maximum effort late in these games just to be able to stay in it. And it's just impossible for you to sustain success and to go on winning streaks, which, apart from the first chunk of the season, the Sixers have not been able to really string multiple good performances and multiple wins together. You cannot do that if you aren't playing consistent basketball for a full 4 quarters, which Philadelphia has really struggled to do this season. And it's funny because the Sixers are even making history this year with how good they have been in the third or the fourth quarter of these games. I showed you this tweet from my guy RB Philly Take regarding what the Sixers did, and this goes back to that November 18th game or the November 17th game. This is after that against the Clippers. Last night, again referring to that Clippers game, Sixers recorded their 4th win of the season when trailing by 10-plus points entering the fourth quarter. That tied an NBA single-season record for an entire season. And they're only now, 14 games into the season after that Raptors game last night. So you can see, the Sixers are at a historic pace in terms of coming back and winning these games where they're losing entering the fourth. But it's happening too much. And my point I'm really trying to make is you cannot rely on that for a full season. It's not a sustainable way to win games. So the question now really becomes, why are the Sixers struggling so much in the third quarter? What is it that when they come out of the break at halftime, whether they have a lead or it's a close game, they just crumble in the third quarter? From what I've seen, they don't come out with enough energy, enough focus. They are sloppy. Some of it is you just got to make shots, right? At the end of the day, people like to say it's a make or miss league. You just got to make shots. But I don't think their effort has been good enough, because when you get to the fourth quarter and you see the Sixers coming back in these games, that tells you they have the ability to hang with these teams. They have the ability to do these kinds of things they're doing in the fourth quarter. They're just not doing them earlier in the game. So why not play with that effort in the third quarter? Why not play like you're down 10 when it's a tie ball game instead of waiting to get down by all those points? So they really have to pinpoint what it is, and I think that really does start with the coaching staff. And I put this on Nick Nurse. I generally like what I have seen from Nick Nurse this season, I think apart from his late game offense, which I also have an issue with, I think late in the fourth quarter, Sixers tend to get a little bit too ISO happy. But this is the other big issue I've had with Nurse this season, is starting these third quarters strong. And again, love what he's done for the most part, but this falls on the coach. He's generally been known as one of the better coaches in the league at making in-game adjustments over his career as a head coach. Well, we got to start seeing it, right? Obviously this team does come back late in these games, and I think some of his out-of-timeout plays are pretty good. His defensive schemes, I think, for the most part, are pretty good, although the drop coverage, it is killing me, man. Seeing this team just rely on drop coverage and seeing players like Emmanuel quickly coming off screens, hitting 3 after 3 after 3 last night. It's what the Sixers do, and I absolutely hate it. But Nurse has to find a way, and I put most of the blame on Nick Nurse to find a way to make this team come out with more intensity and more effort in the third quarter. If they don't, they're not going to be able to keep sustaining wins and coming back late in these games. So I think it's Nurse most to blame for these third quarter struggles. I'm curious what you guys think. Who do you think is most to blame? Is it someone like Maxey, obviously the point guard of this team, having to get the players in the right positions, in the right mindset? Another player on the team? Is it a roster thing? Whoever you think is most to blame for these third quarter struggles, let me know. And if you have a solution as well, let me know in the comment section, because I'm dying to know how they can fix this major issue. That'll do it for today's show. Sixers, another one tonight against the Milwaukee Bucks. Hopefully they can come out victorious with no Giannis. Of course, we'll recap that one when it is final. Be sure to hit that sub button. We'll see you next time right here on 76ers Now.